All right. Prior to this class, we have looked at several things to understand in Excel that can help us to do so many things. Don't forget that we explained that our growth in the understanding of Excel, right? I mean, the fact that we are trying to see other things to understand in Excel is just going to help us to clean our data, right? We are doing all of this so that we'll be able to clean data at any point that we find out that the data has some kind of discrepancy, so we would know what to do, right? That's why we really need to explore things as much as possible as we can about Excel, right? And like I should also bring, I should also reiterate again that the data analytics process are five, right? The first thing is to get data, right? And getting the data can be from, by all means that we can, right? The data can uh, can be in a particular database, right? And we'll just go to the database to extract it out and use it for whatever thing we need it for. At the same time, it could be a primary data that would just, quickly design a means of collecting it just for the purpose of what it is, right? So you see that we need to make a particular analysis now, and then we look at what's on ground that the data that will help us in that analysis is not available, right? So we just quickly find a way to generate that data, most likely by questionnaire, and then find a way to administer the questionnaire, right? So data collection is the first process of data analytics. And the second one is the second process is the reason why we need to explore all understanding of Excel, which is the data cleaning, right? Data cleaning is the second one, right? And then there's no way you will apply your skill in Excel to clean data when you don't even know how the Excel works, right? That's the reason why we've been learning all the learning, right? And the third process would be the actual data exploration, which is where the analysis and summarizing where it comes to place, right? But then we are still within, you know, we are still within the data cleaning activity. And then we have moved from the first cell, right? We have moved from the first cell where we start with the Excel interface, and then we've covered advanced sorting and filtering, data separation, data join, we've covered text, data cleaning, we cover phone numbers, I mean, how to work around phone numbers when you input it into your cells. And we've done changing text cases, right? Which is the last thing we did in the last class. And now we are going to be starting with cell referencing, right? And then in the last class, I was just trying to create a quick way to make you understand what cell referencing, is talking about, right? And I used the word in the last class, right? The word is purely to make us understand it, right? The actual self-referencing does not really mean that word, but I've used that word so that we can actually have a quick understanding of what uh, self-referencing will help us to do. And I said that self-referencing is actually talking about we locking ourselves, right? It's not actually locking ourselves, but I believe I will using that word will make us, understand it quickly, right? But then we'll understand what it's actually talking about by the time, as we move on in the class. Now, I have a scenario on my screen, right? I have a scenario, uh, I have a scenario of a case of um, salary remuneration computation, right, of some kind of employee in an organization. That's what you have on this screen now, right? And then usually, usually in every organization, when a salary, is proposed to a new employee, right, the salary would always have breakdown, right? So you would have the total take home. I mean, the total amount, not take home, the total amount that you are entitled to collect. Now, from that amount, they will now begin to they'll now begin to divide it, I mean, to share it across several areas, right? They will say that, for example, look at this first person here, whose salary is 500,000 naira, right? That is the total and total collection of that person at the end of the month, right? So we call it gross salary. But what the person will take home is not the gross salary. What the person will take home at the end of the day, what the person will take home at the end of the day would be the net salary, right? Now, it will be a net salary because from the big amount that is the gross salary, right? Some amount had been taken out of it to, to spread into several areas, right? Some organization will take your NHIS, some will take a pension out of it, some will take this and this and this out of it, right? And at the end of the day, you get a particular amount. Meanwhile, we have a dividing of a salary, a gross salary in this pattern. So we've been told that in that organization, right? I hope you're following. Right. We've been told that in that organization, from every amount you are liable to collect at the end of the month, right? 50% of that amount, right, is your basic salary, right? 50% of that amount is your basic salary. 20% is your housing, right? It's going to take care of your housing allowance. 10% is going to take care of your transport allowance, right? And another 20% is going to take care of your health allowance, right? We have 50, 20, 10, 20. If you add all of this together, it will come back to result into 100%, right? So this is the breaking down of the salary given to some set of employee in an organization. Now we have this guy who collects a gross salary of 500,000 naira at the end of the month, right? His pay is 500,000 naira. And then we have said that 50% of that amount of that 500,000 naira is his actual basic salary, right? So if by mathematics, right, applying mathematics, so what is the basic salary? What is the 50% of 500,000 naira? I need somebody to just unmute and say it so that I can have the vibe that somebody is following me. Everybody is mute at the moment. I'm the only one talking. So what's 50% of 500,000? Sir?
250K. 250K.
250K. Thank you very much. Yeah, 250,000. Now, let's leave this other part. Don't forget what I'm trying to explain is self-referencing. What I'm saying at the moment has nothing to do with self-referencing. I'm just creating things that can make us connect easily. All right. Now, the 250K is actually 50% of 500,000 naira. How will I get it? Right? I don't want to type 250,000 naira. I want to use mathematics to get it, right? Every one of us here, right, will understand this kind of mathematics, right? This is small mathematics. So it is just to say 50% of 500,000 naira, right? Right?
Yes.
I'm going to type it here, right? This is what we're supposed to have. 50% of 500,000 naira. Is that not so? Somebody should say yes.
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 All right, thank you. So this is what we're going to have, right? So you know that in mathematics, of means multiplication, right? Yes. All right. Now, so I should just say that if I want to write it as a formula, we've talked about function and formula, right? Function means that I'm using a keyword that already exists in Excel. But then using the normal mathematics, what I just typed is a formula, right? And if I want to put it in Excel, I'm going to say equals to, don't forget that equals to always starts. So I will say 50% of this times asterisk is what stands for off in Excel, right? That's the multiplication operator, right? That's multiplication operator, right? So 50% of 500,000 naira, right? Or 500,000. If I say enter, it will give me my 250. Can you see? right? This is it. It's correct.
Yes.
Now I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to do the same thing on in the actual cell where I'm supposed to put it, right? Okay, this is it here, right? I've done it and you can see that it's actually worked. Now I'm going to do that same thing here, but this time around, I'm not going to type 50% because I already have 50% here. I'm not going to type 500,000 because I already have 500,000 here, 500,000 here. So I'm just going to pick it, right? So I will say equals to um depending on how I want to start. So equals to 50% of 500,000. Do you understand? 50% is the D2. Can you see when I selected it, I have D2.
Yes.
Times 500,000 is the C4, right? So if I say enter, it should give me my 350,000. You can see that it is correct, right? Now,
Yes.
remember how we've been working, in our last class, in our previous classes, right? This one now, after I used the lower case function, I said equals to lower. This is where we stopped in the last class. Lower, and I put the text, right? And I say enter. Now, when I want to fill it down, what did I do? I dragged down. Is that not so? I just drag it down and it's fill it for all of them, right? You will notice that when I did that, it didn't repeat O'Brien, Donna for all the other ones. It actually picked what belongs to this cell here, what belongs to this cell here, right? It's different from if I say one. Look at this one now. If I say one and I drag down, it's going to repeat that same one. You can see in the case of this, it's repeating. So it's not repeating the name here all through, right? Now, I'm just trying to create, a way that will make you understand what I'm doing at that cell reference. So I'll return to cell reference. Now that I have gotten this, if I drag down, I'm supposed to get the correct answer for all of them. Is that not? Everybody's good. I wish I'm
Yes.
always getting that response, okay? I'm supposed to get the
Yes.
right answer. So thank you. So please look at what is happening on the screen. So is anybody curious about what has probably happened here?
Yes.
Showing value.
Yeah. So, ideally, based on how we've been working, now that when we said 50% of 500, it gives us 250. That same 50% of, should apply to the next one and give us 50% of 250 and give us,
Yes.
that should be 125 here, right? But
Yes.
we seem to be having some kind of problem. So it means that there is something about, let me go back to that test case. There is something about all these things that was happening here that we didn't bother. There are some questions that we didn't bother to ask. You understand? Question like, why is it picking? I'm dragging down. It should pick, it should just keep repeating what's at the top here. Just like this one was repeating, just like this was repeating for all through, right? You can see. So that's what should have been happening. Or if I write okay or poke, for example, if I drag down, it's gonna give me poke all through the cell. You understand? So why are these not like that? Right? Now, this is exactly where the understanding of cell referencing is going to be clearer to us. Now, what happened when you drag down is that the computation is going to repeat what you have here, right? It's going to repeat what you have here down, because we are dragging down. It's going to repeat it down the column. I need some kind of understanding. Look at this, please. Here we said equals to lower A3, right? Now, when we drag to the next row down the column, you will see look at the formula. It becomes equals to lower A4 because this is A4, right? As I go down, the row is also going down, and that is why this thing is picking from this directly. Now look at this place now. Look at this cell referencing. When we say this is the actual formula that we imputed, equals to D2 times C4, and it gives us this. When we drag to this next one, the expectation based on how Excel works is that this D2 is the one representing this 500, right?
Yes.
As we
Yes.
come down, it should shift to D5. Sorry, it should shift to, sorry, D2 is 50%, rather. D2
Yes.
is 50%.
Why C4?
Why C4? Thank you. So the expectation is that for this one, as we move down, this D2 is supposed to move to D3. It's supposed to move down also. Why this C4 move down? And that's exactly what is happening. Let me come to this one. You can see that we now have D3 and D5 and C5. Can you see? So it is actually moving. What is happening in the terms of the formula is actually correct, because while we're here, we have D2, C4, right? We have D2, C4. When we move down, if you move down, this D2 is supposed to move down to give us D3, and this C4 is supposed to move down to give us C5. All right, Mr. Godwin.
So I think from my observation, I think it is multiplying. It keeps multiplying. Is that correct?
Yes, it's correct. That is still what is happening here. But where the issue is that no, everything that is happening in terms of the formula is correct, right? It is still multiplying. Okay, someone is trying to join. Okay, it is still multiplying. But look at it. When you get to this point, you will notice that since C4 has moved to C5, right, which is 250,000 error, then we shouldn't be having an error like we are having an error here. But you are having an error because this C4, this C2, is it D2? Yeah, D2. This D2 has also moved. But what is down that D2? What is down it? What do we have under the D2?
We have 250,000.
No.
No, we have D4, D5, D6,
Okay.
D7.
Yes, what do we have in D5? What is in D? No, this is D2, right? So
Yes.
after D2, what would we have?
Basic salary.
Yes, that is D2. D2 is 50%. Now, if I move down D2, what will I have?
You have
If I
D3.
move D3, thank you. What is on D3?
Basic salary.
Basic salary.
Basic
Thank you.
salary.
So can you see what is happening now? So
Yes.
if I say I move down here, right? So my C5 is actually correct because it's still meeting a number. But my D2 that has become D3, D2 here has moved to D3. This is not a number. So it means that what we are simply saying by this formula here is D3, that is basic salary times 250,000. Does it make any sense?
No, not at all.
Obviously, no. You understand? Let's move down a bit. So if I move down now to this particular cell, right, it means that I'm having D4, which is now 250, right? Because this is my D4 now. Multiplying C6, which is 300, right? So I'm saying 300 times 250, which is what? 75 billion.
Million. Yeah, right.
Billion, yes. But my intention is to actually find 50% of 300.
300.
You understand it now? So
Yes.
to actually achieve that, it means that, please think along with me. It means that what I actually want to achieve is this 50% must not move, even while all these ones are moving. Is that not what I want to achieve?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, let me hear you. Is anybody asking a question?
No, we are following you.
All right, sir. All right. So I'm saying that you will realize that what I want to achieve on this column is that I want to get 50% of each of these things, right? So if I just leave it by the formula, I just drag down. I'm saying that while this is moving down, this also should move down. So you will agree with me that what I would have done is to say that this 50% must not move. Is that not? Yes. This 50% must not move. All right. Somebody is joining. All right. So what I want to achieve is to say that this 50% must not move, even though this one can move downward. So this particular D2, I want to keep it static. I want to keep it static. And by the word keeping it static, it means that I want to lock it. Don't move down. Don't move to the left. Are you following me now? So
Yes,
locking a cell is what we mean by cell referencing. Right? Now, the actual meaning is not that I want to lock it, but I want to say that as I move down, you know, I've been moving down. I'm not going horizontal. I've been going vertical. So I'm saying that as I move down, right, C4 can change because I'm going to be going down. But this D2, I don't want it to change. I want it to stand at that position so that this area that has been D2, C4 and this C4 that is changing, at this point, C4 will pick D2. If I move down also, this new C5 now, because this will be C5, should also pick D2. 300 should also pick D2. 400 should also pick D2. 150 should also pick D2. 200 should also pick D2. So I am referencing this particular D2. So I want to do my computation such that I will continue to reference this static D2. And to achieve that, it means that I must lock the 50%. I must lock the cell, the D2 itself. I must lock it. Please, do you understand to that point?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes,
All right,
sir.
thank you. So I'm glad so if you truly say you understand, in my mind here, I'll be happy that, okay, yes, I can move on. Please, if you did not really understand, please, I can still explain. I can still come back to explain here. All right, but if you say, fine, it means that I up to that point, I've really communicated. Now, how do we now lock it? Now, I mentioned it in the last class that the symbol to lock in Excel is the $sign. This sign here. This sign here is on 4, right? Is on 4. That's the symbol to lock. Are you with me? Now, let me now show you how I will lock it. I'm going to cancel this, right? So here, to do it downward, right? I am going to say this is equals to, right, 50%. Now, that 50%, I want to lock it down. I want to lock it so that it doesn't move down, right? Now, if you look at that 50%, if you look at that D2, right, it is the name of that cell, right, to the row and to the column. I hope you understand that. Yes. I hope you understand that.
Come again, sir.
Yeah.
Okay, sir. I said this, the name of this cell that is housing 50% is D2, right? You can see it from here. Right? This cell, the name is D2. You can see it here on the name box, right? Now, that D2 means that the row, the column of that cell is D, and the row of that cell is 2. I hope you understand. D2.
Sir,
Now,
yes, sir.
if I want to, yes, if I want to lock it such that it doesn't come down, if I want to lock it so that it doesn't jump, if I drag a cell down, this D2 will not jump to this place. That means that I want to lock it to the column so that it stays on the row. It stays on one row. It maintains, it stays on one column. It maintains this column, but the row will not change. Please, I'm using my word carefully because you need to understand how rows and column are used now. If I lock it to say that it's not going down, it means that I'm saying that the column will be static. I mean, the column, yes, the column will be static, but the column will remain. how do I use the word? The row, which is this, will not change. I'm saying the row will not change. So I'm locking it on the row. Do you understand it?
Yes.
Sir,
I'm feeling I'm struggling to
Yes, sir.
make people
no,
understand.
what
it,
you
right?
mean is that it will not have effect on it.
Yes, it will not. I'm trying to make it not move down the column. But if you understand how the word is used, down the column means that the row is changing. When they say down the column, this is the column, right? That is one column. So when you say down it means a change in the row, right? A change in the row. So if I'm locking it on this side like this, I'm saying that I don't want the row to change. I don't want the row to change. Can you see? So
Understood, sir.
locking it to the row, and out of this number here, this D2, which one of these, D and 2, which one of it represents the row? That is 2, right? Somebody's not getting it.
Yes,
D
yes.
is for column, yes, and 2 is for row, right? So I am going to introduce the dollar sign that is meant to lock it. I'm going to introduce it behind what I want to lock. Behind means at the back. So if I say that equals to, D2 here now that I've picked, and I come behind here and I put my dollar sign, I put this my dollar sign. What this means is that the 2 that is supposed to be responsible for a row, I have locked it. So I've said that this number that is inside D2 cannot go down, cannot change the row, cannot change in terms of row. Do you understand it now? So I've locked the row because I put it behind 2, which is supposed to be that I am blocking the row. But if I put it here, behind D, this will mean that it can change, the row can change. That is, it can move from here to here, from here to here, from here to here, but the column cannot change. It cannot jump from here to here. I have locked it to one column that stay on one column. It cannot move from this column to this place. It cannot move from this place to this place. It cannot move from this place to this place. That is if I place the dollar sign behind D. But if I place it behind 2, right? If I place it behind 2 like this, I'm saying that D has liberty to move. That is column. Column has the liberty to move, but row, which 2 is representing, cannot move. So it cannot jump from this point to this place, to this place, to this place. Do you understand it?
Yes, sir.
All right,
Yes.
thank you.
Well
So,
understood.
Yes, sir.
all right, thank you. So I have said that I have locked it now. That's, I will now say times 50. So you see that even though I have dollar sign there, it's not really affecting the name of that cell, D2. It is still D2. It's not affecting it, right? The function of that dollar is just to lock. And I've told you what is actually locking when I place it behind the 2, because 2 is representing row. So if I say enter, you can see that it is still correct. Now, if I drag it down, can you see something?
Yes.
Can you see something? So if I come to check here now, you see that I have D2 times C4. If I drag down, that D2 did not move. That D2 did not move, but C5 is changing. Now this one becomes C6, C7, C8, C9. Do you understand it? Because I locked it on the row.
Yes,
Do you
sir.
understand that locking? So
Yes, sir.
now what is happening is that this C, all this C9, C8, C whatever, right, is now referencing, is now referencing this particular cell
50.
to get the value it will be multiplying to. Yes. So that's why we call this expression, this Excel activity. That's why we call it cell referencing. That is, we are going to be referencing a particular cell for what we want to do. And then there are 3 types of cell referencing, like you can see here on this area. We have the relative cell referencing, the absolute cell referencing, and the mixed cell referencing. So what I've just shown you now where I log it to the row, I log the row, is called relative cell referencing. You understand? If I log it to the column, it will become absolute cell referencing. You understand it? So that is to say, if I place this dollar sign behind this D, that will be absolute cell referencing.
Okay.
And then if I lock it both sides, that is, as I have had it there, I still come and put the dollar sign here. I lock it both to the row and to the column. That is, this 50 cannot go like this. This 50 cannot go like this. That is mixed referencing. Do you understand the type of referencing that we have now?
Yes.
Yes.
All right.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. All right. So we are good to go. Now, let me show you something now. Let's do something with this. Right? I want to drag it to this place. I want to drag it to this place. What do you think will happen? Or let me drag it and let's see the result and let's see if it is. Now, this has given us 50%, 50%, 20%. We said 20% of 500, right? I'm sorry. Let's see the formula. The formula is E2 times D4. I mean, can we see? Is this supposed to be correct?
No.
Is this supposed to be correct?
No,
Don't forget
no.
that I have locked this one. I have locked it to the column, so it cannot move. But this particular D cannot move down, but it can move to this place. So you would expect that as I'm having D2 everywhere here, I'll continue to have, as you can see, all down the column, I'm having D2. So you would expect that if I jump to this place also, I'll still have the D2. No. The cell have the liberty to move left and right because I didn't lock it to the column. That is why the D has changed to E in this case. So it's justified. Do you understand it?
It's calculating 20% of 250,000 under 220%.
Yes, it's calculating 20% of 250,000. Yes, it doesn't mean that it's correct, but then the fact that it's moving here is what I'm trying to explain. But the calculation is actually wrong because, in fact, what I'm showing to you now is that this cell has the liberty to move to this side based on the explanation I've given. Is that correct? Is that correct? Somebody's still confused.
Is correct, yes.
All right, fine, thank you. All right. So let's move on. All right. Now I'm going to do something now. Right? You've actually understand how we reference the cell, right? So if I say here now, and I want to know what this will give me, right? I want to do 20% of 20% of this particular one. So you understand that it means I'm going to say equals to equals to this, right? And this one, because I want it to move down, I'm going to lock it here, right? I'm going to lock it on this area. I lock it here, right? Times of 500, right? What's happening? 20% times, yes, 500, right? This is correct, right?
Yes, sir.
And if I move it down, right? All these are correct, right?
Yes, sir.
Now, all right, thank you. So I'm going to cancel everything because I want to show you something. Now, I want to use my understanding of this cell locking, cell referencing, to do it that just in one calculation, I want all of these things to be correct at once, right? And don't forget that I said in the last class that if you select multiple cells like this, the first cell where you have started from will remain active, right? Remember I said it, all right?
Yes.
So this is active now. So look at what I'm going to do. Just watch. I say equals to, right? 50%, right? Now, that 50%, I'm locking it. I'm locking it down. I don't want it to move down. I'm locking it down, right? That is, it must not change. But I want it to be able to move here. So it means that if I drag to this side, it is free to move from 50% to 20%, which is what I need for this row, right? Times 500. But this 500 here, because I'll be needing more here, so it can come down, but it must not change to this place, right? It must not change towards this area, but it can change towards this down. So it means that it can move, it cannot move across C. So I'm going to lock it here. It cannot move across the column. So I'm going to lock it here. Where is the lock? Yes. Look what I have done, right? Now, look at this. Before I go further, I want you to look at this locking system that I've done here, right? And try to understand it. Do you understand it? I'm trying to say, when I move down, right, this 50% must remain. But if I move to this place, 50% can come to 20%, because I need this 20% to be active here, I need this 10% to be active here, and I need this 20% to be active here. So I cannot lock this 50% to this place alone. I cannot lock it in terms of the column. I cannot lock it there. But that 50%, I want to lock it in terms of row. That is, this particular cell must not come to this place, must not come here. It must remain on 50%. That is what I have in this first, locking. Now, on the second one, I'm saying that this C4, right? This C4, which is this 500, this is C4 now. This C4 cannot move like this, because I don't want it to. If I say it should move like this, by the time I move to this place, it's going to be picking the new information, the new value that I'm going to have on this cell after I said equals to, right? It's going to be picking the new value that we'll have here. But I don't want it to move from C to D. I want it to remain on this 500 all through this area, right? So that as I move like this C can also move down, but it cannot move like this. So this number 4 can change from 4 to 5 to 6 to 7 to 8 to 9. But the C cannot change, cannot come to D. C here cannot come to D, cannot come to E, cannot come to F, and cannot come to G. I hope you understand.
Yes, perfectly, sir.
All right, thank you. Now, listen, because I selected all the cells before inputting this formula, right? To make this formula now work on all of them, I'm not going to press enter, because I want it to work on all of them. I'm going to press Control Enter. If I say Control Enter, look at this result that it has given me here. Does it justify what I intend to get? Is 40,000 20% of 200,000? Is 40,000? Is it 20% of 200,000?
Yes.
Yes. Is 80,000 20% of 400,000? Yes.
Yes.
So it means it's actually correct on the way I've logged it. So what you want to pay attention to understand now is the understanding of this referencing. So in getting this now, what I actually use is mixed referencing to get all of this. You understand? Is mixed referencing, but there's a way it is spread. Actually, there's a way it is spread, but it's still something like saying mixed referencing, because it's like saying relative referencing to one side and absolute referencing to the other side, right? But my focus now is to make you understand how the referencing works. So if I bring it down to this place, you will now understand. You now understand why this thing is changing, is going down. So what it means is that, let me clear all of this. Right? Now, what it means that if I say equals to lower, and now pick the text, I pick it as A3, and now come here to lock it, right? To lock it to the row, that is, don't go down. I lock it like this, right? Yes, lock now. I lock it and I close the bracket. Can you see? If I say enter, I will get my answer. But if I drag down, nothing will happen. I'm having the old brain all through because I have locked it down the row. That is, maintain this cell down the row. Don't jump to the next one. So if I come here, I'll still have my A3. If I come to this place, I'll still have my A3. I hope you understand this locking of a thing.
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you very
Yes.
much. All right, so that is all I want to explain about cell referencing. That's how cell referencing works. Cell referencing actually means to keep referring to a particular cell, and to achieve that means that you will lock that cell, will lock it, and the sign in Excel to lock is the dollar sign. That's what we use to lock. Then the positioning of that dollar determines how it's going to lock it, whether to the right or to the left. All right. Now, I have a simple task here now, just to justify, to explain, to see if you actually understand what I have said. Now, look at this phone number here, right? I want to join this to this and get my phone number here, right? Remember all we've done in the past, right? Somebody that just joined us today will probably not be able to do this, right? Except he's been using Excel before, so no issue. But we that have been in the class, right? I want to join this 2, 3, 4, this cell. I want to join it here. If I'm going to give you a expo, that is cell join, data join, right? Now, as you join, we are going to drag down. So we must add this 2, 3, 4, join to all this number through our movement downward. How will you do it? It's a task that we should do now. And say if you have done it, please say you have. Let me know you have done it, and let's check it. All right. Are we trying it? Please, are we trying it? I can't hear anybody talking.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We are on it.
All right. All right. Who is done with it? Anybody done with it that want to share with us?
Done.
Done. Who is the person? Please share your screen.
Correct.
Please share your screen. No, you know, if you say done, I'm going to tell you to share the screen so that you can see it. The person is not sharing again. No, who is the person said? Who is done?
Mommy.
Oh, mommy. Oh, yeah,
Yes.
share your screen. Let's see together. All right, thank you. Sharing.
Can you
Not
see?
sharing. It's still trying to load actually on my own screen.
Okay.
It says that you have started sharing, but I've not actually seen it. Please, can we see him sharing on our own screen? Is it showing on our screen?
No, it's not sharing.
Not showing. Okay, so I
Yes,
think it's not
we are
from me.
seeing. I started sharing.
So I think we had this we had this issue last week also when we had to share.
No.
So maybe it's a system. Okay, no wala.
It's not coming up still.
No. It isn't coming up.
Wow.
Who else?
Let me stop sharing and then start.
Who else? Okay, you can stop sharing. Since
Alright.
it's not coming up, I just want somebody who have done it too. I want to see the attempt, right? It's not I just need somebody to make the attempt, even if you didn't get it, right? So we can use that to explain so that everybody can now get it at the end of the day. That's what I want to achieve. Sister Dami, did you try it? Sister Dami, Miss Dami,
Hello, sir.
you didn't try it. Why?
I can't
You
share.
didn't understand it.
No.
You can't share your screen. You're using a
And
phone.
again, I'm using my phone to join, and I'm using my.
Oh, all right. Usually the phone would be very tiny, so you may not really be able to. All right. Let me share my screen. Right. All right. This is what's going to happen, right? Already we know that this is joining, right? So we're going to say you can use any of the joining technique, right? In this case, okay, you can use any of the joining technique, whether ampersand, whether concatenate, or what have you, right? So I'm going to use concatenate equals to concatenate, and it's asking me, what is the text one, right? Now, this is the text one. This is the text one here, right? I want to join this to this because at the end of the day, I should have 2, 3, 4, 8, 0, 8, 2, 0, 2, 1, 5, 1, 6, right? That's what I should have at the end of the day, right? So it will be wrong for me to select this first before selecting this. So my text one is this, right? Comma. What's my text two? I don't intend to put comma or space in between them. So immediately after text two, I should have this. After text one, I should have this text two, right? And this is supposed to be the end. Look at it. I'm not saying this is the correct answer. Now, if I say this, I have my answer. So I've had 2, 3, 4, 8, 0, 8, 2. Now, if I drag it down, you notice that on the other side, I'm not having that again, right? You are not, brethren, you are late to class. All right. You notice that on that key down here, I'm not having that 2, 3, 4 again, right? It is because on this other cell, right, there is nothing in there. There's nothing in them. And it's supposed to, it is also supposed to join what we have on this cell to what we have on this cell. And that's how we got this. We joined what we have on this cell to what we have on this cell, and it gives us this. So for the other ones, we should join what we have on this cell to what we have on this cell, what we have here to what we have here. That's how we're supposed to get this. But because we didn't have anything there, right? Because we didn't have anything, let me undo, right? Because we didn't have anything down here, it means that for us to achieve this thing, we are going to, as this thing is moving down, it's supposed to be moving down to pick this. This is supposed to move down to pick this, and it's supposed to move down again to pick this. And because we don't have them here, we want to keep picking this. We want to keep referencing this. So it means that we are going to lock this particular cell. So now that I'm putting the information here, as I pick D15, which is this one, I am expected to lock it. I am expected to lock it. I don't want it to move. I don't want it to, I'm expected to lock it to the column, to lock it to the column, right? So I'm going to say, I'm going to put my dollar sign in A, right? And if I say, actually, I'm supposed to put it back here, right? I've locked it. And if I say enter, I will obviously still have my answer, right? But now I can drag down. Sorry, I'm going to lock it in a rather. Right. Right. And now, if I drag down, I'm going to have it all on them. And this is what we intend to get, right? This is what we intend to get. You can see that every other one's now, every other one is now referencing this only number to join to what we have down here to get our answer. All right. Now, to be on the safer side, you can see how I was struggling to know where to lock either this. It can cause headache, right? So trying to know that this is the right one to lock and all of that can really be confusing. So to be on the safer side, you can decide to lock on both sides. Since we don't need anything, we don't need it to move here, we don't need to move that. So just lock it on both sides so I will know that it is remaining on this spot. It's not moving to the right or to the left. It's not moving up or down. So if I leave it here, right, and I drag it down, everything will still be correct, right? So I just gave that simple task, you know, to explain my cell locking, the cell referencing again. But I'm not really convinced that we understand it. I'm not really convinced that we understand it because nobody actually performed the task. Mr. Godwin, did you understand it?
Yes, I get the technique, sir. It's just you said we have to lock the cell, the D cell. Sorry, let me go back there. Okay, in order for us to have a corresponding number with the or the rest of the numbers inside it, we have to lock the which cell is that one?
We have to lock the cell, you know, to the area we don't want it. I mean, to lock it to suit what we want to achieve actually.
Okay,
right.
So you said for since we do not have a need for both the column and the row to be, so you know, we don't have any need for it, we can lock both sides.
Yeah, just lock both sides.
Yes.
All right. So it's needed to explain this cell referencing because all through most of the things I'm going to be explaining now, I'll be using the cell referencing. Furious I am, you know, while explaining it. All right. So we can move to the next. And here I have sum if and count if. Right? I have sum if and I have count if. Don't forget that we have talked about the count function. We have talked about the sum function. Right? Now, what I'm having is quite different. Don't forget that if, anytime you see if, it's always a conditional statement, right? That is, we want to do something with a criteria. All right, please pay attention. If I need to know, this is the salary. This is a set of, you know, employee, right? I only have their department, the job status, the hire date, the years, the salary, and job rating. That's all I have here, right? Now, we'll be talking about several departments, people in manufacturing departments, people in the IT departments, people in the environmental health and safety department, people in the account management department, training department, and all of that. And this is their salary, all of them. Now, if I want to know the total salary paid to all employees, regardless of the department, you know what to do already. I'm just going to do this equals to total means I'm going to sum all the salaries together, right? So I have sum, right? I'm going to use the sum function, and I'm going to pick all the numbers. That is, I want to sum these from here to the end, right? I want to sum them together, and I'm going to say enter, right? This is the total salary paid at the end of the month to this employee, 1,884,700, right? That is clear. And that is, I've used sum to know that. And if I want to count how many people am I paying, how many people am I paying? It's just to count the number of time this cell is occurring. And I'm going to use the count function in this way, count, and I'm going to count from this cell down, right? And it means that I have 99. You can see that this is 100, right? Yes, you can see that is 100. And if I take this one away that has department, it means I'm actually starting from here. So that is 99, right? So that is justified. But look at what I want to achieve now. This time around, I only want to sum the salary of the people in IT department alone. How do you achieve it? I want to sum only the salary of the people in IT department. I don't intend to sum all of them. I have shown you how to sum all of them, which is the sum function. But I want Excel to look at this data set. Pick this one. This guy is in IT. Pick this is in IT, right?
Yes, sir.
Pick this also in IT, and every other person in IT, only those ones, sum it together for me. How will I achieve it?
For filter,
right?
the unit, the department first.
Thank you. Thank you. We did that, I think in the last class or 2 classes ago, right? That you filter, if you filter, don't forget, even this filter that you are talking about, right? When we filtered it, if you still sum, you are not still guaranteed of getting the right answer. Do you remember? I talked about it in the last class, except you now use a new function that I told you about, which is the subtotal function. Do you still remember?
Yes.
Yes. Now, that is what you based on what I have explained in the past, right? That is what you will do. And if you use the sum total function, you will be correct. But the requirement for that means that you have to, first of all, you have to, before you will now be getting for IT, you have to filter, right? For example, this is what we are talking about. Let me show you here, right? If I had not summed this, if I have come here to use the subtotal function, so the sum will not actually do it, right? It's the subtotal function that will do it. And what I want to do is to sum. Sum is number 9, so I'm going to say 9, right? Comma, and then I'm going to pick all of them down and say enter, right? You can see. Now, if I go back to go and filter, if I filter this, right? If I filter it, right? And I need only IT. If I come to filter, the select all, and I select IT, right? And I select IT. You can see that it has done only for IT for me, and I have 76,244. If I need for another department, right? Let's say I want to add, I need for maybe the manufacturing department. I'm just going to uncheck this and check this. And if I say okay, right, I'm going to have only for manufacturing department this answer. That is fine. Now listen. Now, ideally, I don't need to be disturbing myself to search first, to filter for before I actually get my answer. So how else can you do it? And that is why we have the count function and the count if function and the sum if function. That is, I want to sum this salary with criteria. I want to sum these salaries with criteria. In the case of this now, look at the question now is that now what I want to do now is that I want to sum, look at this, I have some if, I have some ifs, I have some count ifs, and I have count if, right? What is this now? What this means is that now I only want to know the salaries, the sum of the salary paid to the IT department, right? I want to sum salary. What I want to do is to sum salary, but the criteria, there's a criteria attached to it, right? There's a criteria attached to it. That is, the salaries that you're going to sum together must only be the people in IT department. So I want to do sum with a criteria. So in a situation like that, when you want to perform an operation, and that operation has a criteria attached to it, if it is a sum, if the operation you want to perform is a sum, and it has one criteria attached to it, then we are going to use sum if. If the operation you want to perform is a sum, and you have plenty criteria attached to it, is it criteria or criteria attached to it, then I'm going to use sum ifs. If I want to count some set of, some set of cells, and I have plenty criteria attached to it, that is count if. But if it is just one criteria that is attached to it, that is count if. You understand it? Fine. Now look at it now. In this case, like I've explained before we went to use the filter method, which is still correct, right? Now I want to sum this salary, right? I want to sum these salaries together, but only the people in IT is what I want to reflect. So the activity that I want to do, the operation that I want to do is to sum. That is sum operation. The criteria that is attached to that operation is that the department must be IT. Can you see now? Now, how many criteria I did? Just one criteria. I'm going to use the sum if function, and let's see how it works, right? I'm going to show you how it works. I have done well to list that criteria here. That is, if it is IT, you want to, only IT you want to sum, I've listed it out here. If it is only IT that you want to sum, I've listed it out here. If it is only manufacturing, I've listed it out here and all of that. Now, let's do it. The keyword is sum if. So I'm going to use sum if, right? And I'm going to call it out. Now, I said it again, and I've said it before, and I'm going to say it again. Anytime you are using Excel function, it's quite simple, right? Once you start with equals to and you put your keyword, right? The next thing is to call out the argument and we are saying it here. What looks like what could be a difficult work for you is how to understand the argument. Like now, the first argument is range. What does it mean by range, right? And what does it mean by criteria, right? And what does it mean by sum range? Are you with me? Now, what do I want to do? I want to sum. You understand? What do I want to do? I want to sum. So, I am going to select all the numbers that I want to sum, right? Now, anytime you see sum range, sum means that I want to add some things together. And it's not possible for me to add alphabets together. So if I'm going to add together at all, it has to be numbers. So if you see sum range, know that what you are needed in that argument is a set of number that you can add together, that you can do their sum together, right? Now, but then this is later. The first argument actually is range. So it's asking me what are the range of, what are the range of criteria that I have? What are the range of criteria that I have? That is all these departments, because it is from this department that I'm going to pick the actual criteria that I want to sum together. Don't forget, the task at hand is to sum the salaries of the people in IT department, right? The task at hand is to sum the salaries of the people in IT department. So I'm going to tell Excel that it's asking me after I've built in my keyword. It's asking me what is the range of the operations that you want to do, and the range is department. So I'm going to select all the departments, right? Now, to be on the safer side, I always advise that you lock it. Oh, why doing this? I didn't tell you the shortcut to lock, right? And I'll go back to show you, right? So let me pause this here, right? Sorry, I'm going to cancel this and quickly return to our cell referencing to show you this shortcut. Now, I talked about locking here, right? I did tell you that each of these type of cell referencing, they all have shortcuts, because most likely be using the shortcut. You can't be stressing yourself to find out where to put the dollar sign and all of that, right? Now, if it is a relative cell referencing, the shortcut is I'm typing it on the screen. That is for relative cell referencing. That is going to be, I'm coming. Let me try it and make sure that it actually works before I type it out. All right. So for relative cell referencing, relative cell referencing is FN F4. FN F4 F4. FN F4, right? And another F4, right? And another F4, right? Now, check your screen, everybody. Is it everybody that has, check your keyboard? There's a function after control. What's the function? What's the key after control? Please check your screen, everybody. What key do you have after the control on your keyboard?
Function.
FN.
Eh?
FN.
FN. Now, some keyboard does not have the FN. That's why I'm asking. My own has it. That's why I'm using FN. Please, if you check your keyboard and then after control, there is no FN, please signify before I go ahead. Okay, everybody has FN. Please check it.
Yes,
after that FN, do you have the window key?
Yes, no, it's after FM, then control, then window key, then alt key.
Okay.
Yes.
FN, window key, alt key, right? Or
Yes.
the gist is that you have FN, right? Fine.
Yes.
And everybody has it this way, right? Now, if you have FN, the shortcut for cell referencing, relative cell referencing would be, look at it, at the top of your keyboard, you also have the F function, the function key. That is F1, F2, F3, F4, F5, all of that. Do you have it on your own also?
Sorry, your voice has gone low.
I said up your keyboard, at the top of your keyboard, where you have escape, right at the top of it.
We can
After
barely hear
escape,
Sir, it is breaking. I can barely hear you.
you can barely hear me. Is that on network? Please just
I think your mouth was far from the mouthpiece. Yes, I guess so.
Microphone array. I'm coming. All right.
How about now?
Yeah, now, sir.
It's clear now. All right. All right. So initially I was using my system microphone, but now I've changed to my AirPod microphone. All right. Let's go ahead. So I said this, check your keyboard. Do you have the function key at the top of the keyboard? F1, F2, F3, F4. Do you have it?
Yes, please.
Yes.
All right, that's fine. That's fine. So if you have the FN and the function key, the shortcut to relative referencing will be that you press that Fn, the one after control.
Sir, I
You
don't
press that
have.
F. You don't have what? Please, you don't have what? Please check it. Please, Damilola. I'll continue if I didn't hear anything.
Hello?
All right. Yeah, I can hear
There's
you.
no FN on my own keyboard.
Okay. Sorry, sir. I've seen it.
Okay. Okay. But there is no Fn on your own keyboard, Mr. Joel.
Yes.
All right. I'll come back to you. Just note, right? There's a provision for your keyboard. All right. All right. So if you have Fn, so it means that the shortcut for relative referencing would be Fn, then you press F4 twice. Right? Like this now. I'm going to do something, right? And then this is going to be equals to this. And I'm going to say yes. And then times that, right? I'm going to say, all right. All right. So it means, look at it. The shortcut for relative referencing is Fn, right, plus F4. F4, F4. Can you see? That is, you will press the Fn, you will press it together with F4 twice. Do you understand this? Now, for you that do not have Fn on your keyboard, so it means that you don't need to press the Fn before it works. So just press F4 twice. Do you understand it, Mr. Joel?
Yes, I do.
All right, so just press F4 twice. You will get the relative referencing. If you want to achieve absolute referencing, that is, you want to lock it on the column side, then it's going to be Fn plus, where's my plus? Plus
Oh my God,
F4. Yes, F4.
So referencing. It's
It's going to be, I'm hearing some background noise. All right. For absolute referencing, you are going to press the Fn plus F4 3 times. Please, as I'm saying it, please try it on your system and be sure that I'm going to leave, after I say this last one, I'm going to leave some maybe 30 seconds for you to quickly try it, right? Now, for the mixed referencing, if you have Fn, you're going to say Fn plus F4 just once, right? So can you see my screen? So relative referencing is Fn plus F4 2 times. Absolute referencing is Fn plus F4 3 times. And mixed referencing is Fn plus F4 just 1 time. Don't forget that relative referencing is one that will lock down, it will lock it down the column. That is, it will lock it on the row. Absolute referencing will lock it on the column, and mixed referencing will lock it on both sides. Right? Please, can you quickly try it and be sure that it actually works before I move on to what I was to the sum if and count if I was explaining before?
Yes, it does. I've seen it.
Okay, thank you. One more person.
Sorry, I think my own function keys is when I press it is working with, because on the for my F4 is like a mount mic mute, so it's
You will
My
press
own
it together.
F4. My own F4 brings is for brightness, to increase brightness and reduce brightness.
yeah, exactly.
Okay. Your own now, it means that we need to find the Fn. It's using Fn. That's it. It means there is Fn somewhere in your keyboard. Let's find it. After control, what do you have after control? Downshift. What do you have downshift on your keyboard?
Okay, I've seen it. I've seen
Okay.
FN.
All right, so you're going to press Fn with that F4 function. So that's when the brightness and all of those will not work. Mr. Joel, have you checked the one also? Mr. Godwin.
Yes, I'm on it now. Okay, you mean I should press the both of them together,
Yes,
right?
yes, yes.
Yeah, I've seen FN after control.
Okay.
Okay, hold on.
All right, it worked, right? So we are good to go. We are good to go, right? So you have understood how to lock it because I'm going to use that shortcut here. That's why I have to come back. So we're explaining some if now, right? We're explaining some if, right? And we said that some if statement is actually establishing some criteria to the operation we want to do. So now that we have if statement on some operation, it means that that sum will have a criteria attached to it, right? Now, as it is now, we want to sum the salary of all these guys, but I don't want to bother with the people in manufacturing department, the people in environmental and health safety department, in the people in account department. I just want the people in IT department. I want Excel to go and scan through the salary of the people in IT department and sum it together for me, right? So it means that I am actually performing the sum operation, but that sum operation is having a criteria. And the criteria is just one. That is people in IT department. So I'm going to use the sum if. And I'm going to use the keyword sum if. Right? Can you see it now? I have sum if and I've called out the argument, right? Now, the first argument is range. Can you see? The first argument is range. So the range is it's asking you that what are all the available criteria? I mean, what are the criteria, all the available criteria in the data set that you want to sum together, right? And it is either is in manufacturing or is in IT or is in all of them. So it is from this that we'll now pick the single criteria that we want to talk about. So the range is all of this. I'm going to select it from this top down. Can you see? And I'm going to lock it. Right? Locking it is not because I want to reference it, but locking it is to ensure that this data does not move beyond this place when you have line. I don't want it to be jumping all about. Don't forget that if you didn't lock, by the time you drag down, data are meant to be jumping about. But if you lock it, it will stay at that point where you have locked it into. And the kind of locking that I'm going to do here is that I will lock it both to the left and to the right. It's going to be mixed referencing, mixed locking, right? And to do that, I'm not going to do it manually. I'm going to use the shortcut. And the shortcut is to press FN plus F4, and it has been locked. You can see here that $sign has been introduced to them, right? So I've locked it. Then I'm going to press comma to go to the next criteria, right? And the criteria now is asking me, so out of all this range, which one do you want me to sum? Obviously, it's the IT people that I want, but I'm not going to pick the IT here. If I pick it here, I will still be correct. But I just choose to pick it from here because I've written it out here. So I'm going to pick IT. That is, out of all this range, look for IT, the people in IT department. And that's the criteria that I've selected. I don't need to log that. If I don't want to log that, then I say comma. Now it's not asking me some range. So after I have looked at after Excel has looked at the data set, right? It has looked at the range and it has picked the IT as a criteria. What should it do to them? We are saying that sum the range. So what will be the sum range? Of course, we can't pick anything from here. It has to be what has a number, right? So this is all of them. We are going to select all of them like this, and I'm going to lock it again, right? This is the argument. The first argument is range. I have selected all the range criteria, the exact criteria out of the range that I want to perform the operation on. Then some range, that is select all the numbers that you want to select together, you want to sum together. You will notice that I didn't just come and select the salary of the people in the IT department. I don't need to be looking for it. I will just select all the available salaries, right? Based on the criteria that I've created, Excel will by itself go and pick the salaries of people in IT department and to sum them together. If I say enter, you can see that it has summed only the people in IT department, right? And you can justify it if we have good mathematician that can quickly do mathematics from the head. This is one IT. This is 9,180. Let's look for the next one. Add it to this one. Add 9,180 to 13,435. It's going to give us 21,615 or thereabout. 21,615. Let's look for the next IT. This is the next IT. Add 21,615 to this, right? That 15 and that 15 will add it to 6 will give us 6. That's 71. That's about, maybe add 15 to the 21. That's about 46,000. You know, something like that. Something like 46,000, right? If I come down and I look for another one, I add 16 to it, right? 16,009. Add it to it is big now, 46,000. It's gonna give me 2, right? Remainder 1, add to 1, that is 2 plus 4. It's gonna give me about 62,000, about 63,000 now, right? And if I look more, I'll still see another IT. I've seen another IT here. If I have 66,000 to 21,000, it's already giving me 76,000. If I go down, I shouldn't have another 2. So no more IT, right? So if you come up, you see that we have 76,000 plus. That's exactly what has happened. You understand it now? That's how to use sum if. Now, if I drag it down, it's going to pick it for all of them. So it has picked for manufacturing department and had. It has picked for account management department and had. For training department and had. And for sales department and had. So this is sum if. That is only the criteria, only this criteria here is what I am using to sum. Hey, do people understand me like this? Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Wow, okay.
Sir, please, I think you please explain again. This thing
All
is
right.
twisting us.
All right. Somebody said no. 2030. Okay, somebody did not really understand. Okay, I'm going to come up again, right? And I'm going to cancel all of this again, right? Right. Now, at the beginning, I said anywhere you see if function, right? If function is typically talking about a conditional statement, right? In Excel, we call it logical statement, right? It's a logical function. Actually, because I didn't touch some explanation when we're doing function, there are 5 types of function in Excel, about 5 or 6 or thereabouts, right? We have some that we group them under statistical and mathematical function, and that's where sum comes in, sum counts. Then we have others, some that we call financial function, right? We still have financial function later in this class that we're going to talk about, right? And one of it is logical function. So if function, sum if, anything that has if is under logical function. Now, and for logical function, right? For logical functions, what actually happens, in them is that we are telling Excel to perform a particular operation obeying a criteria. That is, the function has some criteria that we must obey. You understand? Now, in this case now, in the case of sum if, the actual operation that we want to perform is to sum, right? But that sum has K leg. Something like I say has K leg. Mr. Isaac, please.
Thank you so much, sir. Yes, thank you so much, sir. I just want to ask a question because I actually practice it here. And my question is very simple. Number 1, if I select Fn and the F4 together, and I want to, you talked about 3 different Fn and F4. So how can we identify, for example, sir?
Yes, continue.
Yeah, for example, I wanted to use Fn and F4, not double F4. Is there any sign that is going to give me on the screen to identify that maybe my calculation, what I want to do is wrong or right? I don't think you get what I'm talking about, sir. Yes, sir. In this reference.
Yes.
Yes,
now,
sir.
It's because you joined the class later. All right. Now, look at it. The position of this dollar is our concern. Are you there?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
if you see that, if you notice, you pick a cell. If you pick this cell, this particular cell that I have, it has a name that is written on the box. The name is C1, right? The C
Yes,
here
sir.
is connoting the column representation, and the 1 is connoting the row representation, right? You can see C1. That is why this cell is C1, right?
Yes, sir.
Now, when you are locking, the positioning of the dollar sign, I already said also that the symbol in Excel that represents referencing or that represents locking, right, is the dollar sign.
It's the dollar sign, yes, sir.
Sign. So you now try to note the positioning of that dollar sign. If the dollar sign, look at this case now. If you look at this particular D2, this is actually D2, which is this is D2, 50%. You see that dollar sign is behind the number.
Okay.
Yes. So it means that if it is behind the number, it means that I am locking it to the row. I am saying that you can move from one row to, I'm locking it to the column. Right?
Yes,
you
sir.
can move, or you cannot move like this.
Yes, sir.
And that is if the dollar is behind 2, right? And
yes,
that
sir.
is what reference in me.
Okay. Okay, sir.
If you press Fn with F4 2 times, it's going to give you this kind of locking. That is, $1 sign will be behind the number.
Okay, sir.
All right. Now, look at the second one. You see that the dollar sign is behind the alphabet.
Before they speak. Yes, sir.
And that means that I am locking it to the row. It can move. Yeah, I'm locking it to the row. So it cannot jump from one column to the other, right? But it can jump from one row to the other.
Okay.
So the position of the dollar is a concern, and that is absolute referencing, and that's what we use this symbol for, this shortcut for, Fn plus F4 F4 F4. That is please refer incident to the YouTube to learn. All right. So that is what am I saying? That is F4 F4 F4, right? That is absolute referencing. Do you understand this?
Yes.
Now,
yes, sir.
if I lock it to both sides, I'm trying to see if there's a particular one. Okay, like this one here now. You will see that, oh, I've changed it. So if the dollar sign is on both sides, like this, right? If the dollar sign is on both behind the number and behind the alphabet, right? That is mixed references. I've locked it to both row and to both column. That is mixed reference. Do you understand it now? So the position of the dollar is what we look. However, because of our time, please, it will just find that you go through, I mean, some of the videos that we have, some of the classes that we have done, you will get it easily. Right? Easy to get.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for understanding me.
Right, thank you very much. So I return to the sum and if function, right? So I'm going to take this again, right? So now I want to perform some operation with a criteria, and the criteria is that Excel should only pick the salary of the people in IT department, and you can see that the only criteria is the people in IT department. So I'm going to use the sum if function, right? Whenever you want to do something like that, but then there is a criteria attached to that operation, you should know that you are going to use the logical function, which in this case is the sum if function. And how do I do it? Of course, every function starts with the equals to sign, right? Every function starts with the equals to sign, and then I'm going to use I'm going to put in the keyword, which is sum if, right? And I'm going to call out the argument and look at the first argument, right? I said that in using any function, what you should lobby, what you should try to understand is the meaning of each of the arguments. Once you know what each of the arguments stand for, you are good to go. It makes the use of functions to be very simple, right? So now he's asking me what is the range? That is, what is all the possible criteria that exist, right? What is the possible criteria that exists, where which Excel will now have to pick one from that criteria. So you can see that all the possible criteria is talking about, the different departments that the people belongs to. You understand? So I'm going to select everything here as a criteria, right? And I said that to be on the safer side, so that your data is not just moving here and there, I always advise that you lock it. Please, if you didn't lock it, it doesn't mean that you will not get your answer. But later, you may begin to have problem. To avoid that problem, that's why we are saying that always lock it. And I'm going to be using the mixed locking here, the mixed preferencing, which is FN and F4 once. And you can see that the dollar sign is behind the A, is behind the number, is behind the alphabet. Also here is behind the number and is behind the alphabet. So I have done mixed locking. So I have obeyed this first argument. I'm going to press comma to go to the next argument. Now it's asking me, what is the criteria? That is, out of all this range now, what should I pick? What should I place the focus on the IT only, right? So I can pick the IT from here now, but I can also pick it from here. I can pick it from anywhere I see IT, right? So you have the liberty to pick it anywhere. But for me now, to be on the safer side, for some reason, I would prefer to pick it from here, right? And maybe I'll tell you the reason later why I'm actually picking it from here. So I pick this. That is the criteria. That is, look at all this range, and pick this particular criteria. And what should I do with that criteria? That is sum their salary, right? And that is sum range. So to understand sum range easy, right? To better understand sum range, just know that anything that has to do with sum range has to do with numbers, because you are going to sum a range. You understand? It said provide a range that can sum together. You cannot go and be providing manufacturing as sum range, because you cannot say manufacturing plus IT plus manufacturing plus. It doesn't make sense. These are texts. So if you're going to do sum range, it has to be numbers, right? So this is the area I'm going to select for sum ranging, and I'm going to select all of them. Don't forget how I'm selecting all of them. I'm using the shortcut Control-Shift downward arrow. That's the shortcut that I'm using to select them. And I'm going to lock it using FN F4 once because it is locked, right? So I'm going to close the bracket. So if I say enter, it will sum only the salary of the people in the IT department. And now, if I want to drag it, and you will notice that I locked this. I didn't lock the criteria H5, which is this. I pick it intentionally. I didn't lock it intentionally, so that I'll be able to drag down. So that when I drag down, you can see here, H5 has gone to H6. That is, this is H6. That is, I want to know for the manufacturing department. I can also see for the account management department. That is H7. I can also see for the people in the training department and for the people in the sales department. Do you understand it now? That is sum if. So I perform a sum operation with one criteria. The criteria for this one is IT. The criteria for this one is manufacturing. The criteria for this one is account management, and the criteria for this one is training. I hope you understand now.
Yes, it is. It's clear now.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. Please, if you didn't understand, please just try to go through the video again. And if yet you didn't understand, please chat me personally. I must create a class for you to understand. We'll talk about it again. You must understand. Please, I'm begging. Go through the video again. If after the video you didn't still understand, please call my attention. We need to understand it. Now look at the second one. This one is sum ifs. This is sum ifs, right? So it means that the criteria in this case is more than one. And I've done well to list out two criteria here, right? I have department, I have status, right? So in this case, listen, I want Excel. If you look at the status, you can see that there are several different status. Some people are working hourly, some people are working half-timely. We have some other people that are doing full-time. Some other people are contract staff. If you go down, you will see people that are contract, right? This is contract. So there are people have several different kind of status working in the organization, right? So I want Excel to sum the salary of the people in IT department that are also full-time. You can see that now the criteria are now two. The first one is I was just concerned about the people in IT department. If you like, make it work hourly. If you like, let it be working half hourly. If you like, let it be working full-time. So far is in the IT department. Please sum the salary together for me. But in the case now, in this new case, right, I'm interested in getting the salary of the people in IT department that are also full-time. You understand it now? People in the IT department that are also full-time staff, right? And then it means that you can identify already from here that the criteria is more than one. There are two criteria. So I can't use some if in this case. I'm going to use the sum if function, right? And the keyword will remain sum ifs, right? And I'm going to call out the argument. Now you will see that the first argument, unlike the first one that starts with range, the first argument on this one is sum range, right? It wants me to provide all the possible numbers that which is talking about the salary that we can sum together. So the sum range is going to be all the salary. I already said anywhere you see sum range, it's talking about numbers. So I'm going to select all the salary and I'm going to lock it, right? I'll say comma to go to the next argument. So now it's asking me, what is the criteria range 1? Mind you, this is not just criteria. It's asking criteria range 1. The two criteria are talking about department and status, right? So I'll pick one to be the 1 and the other one to pick to be the 2. So the criteria range 1 is not just asking about the criteria, but the range of all possible criteria 1, which is talking about all the departments. I'm going to select all of them and I'm going to lock it, right? And I'll go to comma. Now, the next argument is asking me, what is now the criteria 1, right? So criteria 1 will now be the criteria from the first criteria range that I picked, which is now talking about the IT, right? I'll say comma. Now it's asking me, what is the criteria range 2? Criteria range 2 is now talking about the status here now. And this is status here. So I'm going to select everything on that criteria range and lock it. Then I'll say comma. And now it's asking me, what is now the criteria 2? My criteria 2 is that it's only the people that are full-time employee, right? If I say comma, it will go to the next one, criteria range 3. But there are just two criteria, right? So I'm going to stop here and I'll close the bracket and everything will be fine. If I say enter, it gives me 0. So the meaning of 0 here is that there is nobody who is in IT department and is also a full-time staff. So it means that there's nobody who is in IT department and who is also a full-time staff. Let's check for ourselves. This guy in IT department is an hourly staff. He's not a full-time. Check this one. It's half-time. Let's go down to the next IT. This is another IT. Another IT, hourly, not a full-time. Let's check the next IT. This is the next IT, half-time, right? Not a full-time. Let's check again. This is the last IT here. It's also hourly. So there's no, that's all, okay? There's no IT staff that is a full-time staff. So that organization like to employ IT staff to work either contract or half-time or hourly. They have never employed a full-time IT staff because IT staff don't need to be at the office. They can access everything. As a data analyst, I don't always need to go to my office, right? All I need is I will only be going to the office if my organization is using an on-premise server. That is, all the information is saved in one room in my company that we call the server room. So we always need to go there to go and fetch out the data. That's when I will need to be at the office. But these days now, everybody is now using a cloud-based server, right? So I can be anywhere in the world and gain access to my database and extract the data that I need, right? So there's nobody who is the full-time staff and is an IT department. That's why there's nothing to sum. That's why I have 0. But if I drag down, I will have somebody who is in manufacturing department and is a full-time staff. And the sum of the salary is 143,960. That's the sum of the salary. right? We can see. And we have somebody in the account management department who is also a full-time staff. The sum of the salary is 142,970. And this also means that there is nobody in the training department that is a full-time staff. You can see this training department is hourly, it's not full-time, right? So in that organization, the people that are in the training department, they also work from home. So if they need to deliver training, they'll most likely deliver it as I'm delivering this class now. I'm in my house, right? Everybody is connecting online. I will create the Zoom, we create a virtual class, and we go on teaching, right? We have technology and technological advancement that make all these things possible, and that's what we are learning now, right? It's as simple as that. So this is sum if. Sum if means that I am performing an operation, right, with some criteria. The criteria is more than one. If the criteria is just one, that is sum if. If the criteria is more than one, I'm going to use sum ifs. I hope you understand.
Yes, sir.
All right, thank
Yes,
you.
sir.
So, all right, thank you very much. So this is count ifs, the same way, but this time around, I'm not doing sum, I'm doing counts, right? So let's say now, obviously we know that this criteria is going to be 0. This count if is going to give me 0 because we have seen that there is nobody in the IT department that is a full-time staff. And the question is, the task here is to count the people in IT. This is count if, multiple criteria, right? So the task is to count the people in IT department that are also full-time staff. We've checked it, we know that it is 0, but let's just specify it equals to count ifs, right? And I'm going to, it's asking me what's the criteria range 1. Criteria range 1 is talking about the department. I will lock it, comma. Criteria 1 is IT. I'll say comma. Criteria range 2 is talking about the status, the job status. I'll select it, all unlock it, right? Comma. Criteria 2 is full time, right? So that is the end. I don't have criteria 3, right? If I say enter, you can see that there's nobody in the IT department who is a full-time staff. But however, we have 6 people in manufacturing department that are also full-time staff. You can check through this list and justify it by yourself. We have 6 people also that are in account management department and are full-time staff. But there's nobody in the training department who is full-time staff. We have seen that. There are 2 people in sales department that are full-time staff, right? That is not plenty, so you can check. This is sales department. This one is in hourly. It's not a full-time staff. Let's go. You see another sales department. This is sales department. This one also is in half-time. It's not full-time. Let's go. This is sales hourly. This is sales full-time. This is 1. This is sales another full-time. That is 2. So we are not expected to see another sales full-time again. All right, so you can see that it is 2. All right, so that justifies it, right? And for count if, that is one criteria. So I want Excel to count from this data set, right? From this table here, I want you to count the people in the IT department. Now there's no second criteria there, just one criteria. Count if. So I'm going to say count if, right? And it's asking what's the range. The range is talking about the department, right? I'm going to select all the departments, right? And I'm going to lock it and say comma. And exactly what the criteria, that should be IT. And I'll say, so there are 5 people in IT departments, right? There are 5 people in IT departments, right? And if I want to know for these other guys, I'm just going to drag down. So we have 22 people in manufacturing department, 15 people in management department, 3 in the training department, and 5 people in the sales department. Any question? Any question?
Hello, sir.
No.
Hello.
Yes, sir. Yes,
so if I understand this, then anytime we hear even see the word sum, it has to do with numbers.
Some range, according
to some range, that will be with numbers.
Yes, it has to do with number.
Okay, if it is a count, that will be with the people.
Yes. Now, if you will notice that when I was doing count, there's a count if. There's nothing like some range among the arguments. You can see I have criteria range, I have criteria, then I have criteria range 2, I have criteria. There's nothing like some because in count, There is no number that you want to. We are counting observation. We are not summing number together. So there is no sum range. Do you understand, sir?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes. So we are only counting. We are not doing sum. Sum means that all this value now we are going to be saying this plus this. But in counting, we are just counting observation. We are just counting the cell.
Okay.
You understand? We are counting the cell. So we can also count this number. When I count this number, I'll count this plus this 1, 2, 3. It's different from if I'm summing this. So if I'm summing this, I'm going to say this is 8,892 plus 8,904 plus 9,180. It's going to give me a big number. But if it is count 1, 2, 3, simple.
Okay, I get it. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right. Any other question?
Yes, sir. I want to ask a question about I want to use that IT as a reference. What about if you want to count numbers of people that are doing IT hourly, and if also if you want to count those who are doing maybe per minute or something according to the status, how are we going to solve that, sir?
Yes. Oh, talking about per minute, it is not here because it's not captured in this data set. But if it is hourly, right, it's still simple, right? Let me do something here, right? Don't forget that I'm only using this because I've drawn out a separate table here to make the explanation, work well. But now I want to count the people in IT department that are working hourly. Count now, I'm using count. I'm not using sum. The people in the IT department that are working hourly. Look at it. I'm going to say count. People in IT department are working hourly. That is 2 criteria. So I'm going to use count ifs, right? Call out the argument, and it's asking me criteria 1. Criteria 1 is talking about the department, right? And I'm going to select all the possible, criteria in that range, right? Then that's criteria range 1. The fourth argument is criteria range 1. Now this one is criteria 1. So criteria 1 is IT. I am not picking it here so that you don't think that I can always pick it here. So I'm going to pick it from here. So I can still pick it from here. That's IT, comma, right? That's comma. Then the next argument is criteria range 2, which is not talking about status, right? This is where the status is. This is where the status is, right? I'm going to select all of these and I'm going to lock it. I'm going to lock it. Then comma. Now criteria 2. That is the hourly. So anywhere you see hourly here, pick it from there. I can pick anywhere I see hourly. It doesn't have to be in front of this IT. Once you can see hourly anyway, just pick it. You understand? And say enter. So it means that there are 3 people who are in IT department and are working hourly. As simple as that. Does it answer your question?
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, sir. Any other question before we move on? Yes, Mr. Godwin.
Okay, so sorry, I just wanted to ask, since we have the function to lock what they call the cells this thing.
Yeah.
What if I want to unlock them? How do I unlock
So
it?
you're gonna take all the dollars away. If you put it there, let's say this particular one that we lock, this one that we lock now, we lock this. So if you just put it in front of it, right, and go there, go and press the Fn F4 again, it will be unlocking the one after the other. It has unlocked this, so put it here and press it again.
Okay.
It has unlocked this. Just keep pressing it to unlock. Or better still, just go and put your cursor on there and cancel the dollar. Keep canceling the dollar to work. It is just the dollar that is making it locked. Just once you take the dollar away, the lock has gone off. Do you understand it?
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Right. Any other question before we move to the next sheet? Please, you can see intentionally emphasizing all of this because, right, some of these functions, right, understanding this is different from those sum that the sum and count we were doing before that we just do easily, right? You just go and pick everything, but then these ones need attention. That's why I'm emphasizing on it. Please do well to go through the video when we share this video. Watch and rewatch again. If yet you don't understand, please call my attention anytime. Just drop me a chat, right? If I can explain on that chat, I will explain again. But if you need to fix the class, I'll definitely find a time to fix the class. Don't worry. I work 24 hours, right? I take classes 2 a.m., 3 a.m. So far, it is convenient for you, right? You schedule a time at that time. I'll quickly explain it. All right, thank you very much. So I'm going to move to the next. I'm going to move to the next function. This is if function. And obviously, from what I've explained from this previous cell, you see that if function is another logical statement, right? It's another logical function. And particularly, I love if function because it makes me look like, this guy is a good. You understand? And if you understand all this function from Excel, by the time you move further and you want to do Python, right? You will understand it easily. Because I've said that even Excel itself is built with Python. It is Python, the programming language that was used to build Excel, actually is C#, right? So C# was used to build Python. So it means that Python and C# have similarity, right? And then later, Microsoft did the modification of this Excel with Python. So Python was later used to modify Excel. So if you understand all this function in Excel, you understand it in Python. As a matter of fact, in Excel has a sheet here on Excel that you can write code as Python and it will work. So all this one I'm selecting cell, you just write it as code, right? And it's also similar to a topic that is not captured in this our curriculum, but I'm still looking at how to put it in because somebody talked about it at the beginning of this training, right? Talking about VBA, right? Visual Basic Application, right? And that is talking about writing some kind of language inside Excel. I hope we're able to cover it if the time permits, actually, but I'll try to cover it. Now, this is if function. In the assignment I gave, right? I need to cover a lot because I have an assignment prepared for this that I'm even eager to give it out because I want to go and get busy for the week again. And in the last assignment I gave, somebody actually used if function to answer his Brofemi. I will mention your name, Brofemi. And I'll call him to ask him, do you understand what you have done? I don't know where you're going to see it. You actually don't really understand it, right? But then this is a class to now understand what you did in that assignment, right? All right. Now, I've painted a scenario, right, to help us understand it, to understand the if function. I've painted the scenario. Now, let's say I have an organization, right? Right. Okay. I actually have an organization, Softview Analytics. I facilitate data analytics training, like as I'm doing now. So I have somebody in my team who works as, let's call the person, okay, let's not say the person. I'm the one who is managing the whole of the sales. And I decide that any of my customer, right? Like I have several people here. I have Mr. Godwin, I have Mr. Joel, I have Mr. Kemi, I have Ms. Damilola, and all of you. And I'll say that. So let's take it to be that you guys subscribe to this class every month, right? And you subscribe to a varying amount. What you subscribe is not fixed. And I'll say anybody, right, that pays 60,000 naira, right? Anybody that pays 60,000 naira, and I will give the person, that is anybody that pays 60,000 naira and above, I'll give the person 10% discount. Can you see the statement now? Can you see the scenario I'm painting?
Yes.
Anybody that pays 10%, anybody that pays 60,000 above, that buy my class for 60,000 naira and above, I'm going to give the person 10% discount. For example, right, my classes like this, right, they are in cohorts, right? I name it cohort. So we have general cohort. The next cohort we're expecting is supposed to be April cohort, right? And usually for people who registered early, I give them 10% discount. This just to paint this scenario that I'm painting, right? Usually data analytics class is 200,000 naira, right, for the whole program. And I'll say if you make your commitment for April cohort that's supposed to start April 1st, and you pay before 25th of June, of March that we are. Sorry, this is April already. That we'll be preparing for April, May, for the May quarter. So anybody that make payment by 25th of April, the person will enjoy 10% discount. That is 20,000 naira off the amount, right? And then I have some people here who have made some amount. So let's not say 200,000, let's just say 60,000 right now, right? And some people are now buying, they're now buying up to 60,000 naira. Some people are buying less than 60,000 naira. For example, this guy, Peter, is less than 60,000. This guy is more than 60,000. This one is more than 60,000, right? Now, based on that condition, I want to use Excel to now calculate what will be the value of the discount they will get. Now, with the understanding of mathematics, right? I said the condition is give any customer 10% rebate with value from 60,000 and above. Please, this Peter, what is the value of the discount he will get? Somebody should tell me. This Peter, what's the value of the discount? Are you sure?
56,000.
I disagree.
The person get 3,250. 3,250 discount.
I disagree.
This person will not get anything now. He didn't get up to 60,000.
Thank you. This person will not get anything.
Okay, that's true. That's true. That's true.
60,000.
You will only get 10% if you get up to 60,000, right? Now look at James. What will James get? What will James get?
If we get it,
9,500.
9,500.
533.
Thank you. You have understood it like that. Now, I want to prepare an Excel function to calculate what he will get in this place. Right? Now, look at this place. Now, look at this other column, right? This other area here, column here. I have designed it so that the person will now know what he will get at the end of the day. Because at the end of the day, if I'm giving this person, look at James, for example. If I'm giving James the 10% discount, it means that I will be taking away 9,005 from the 95,000 that he actually paid. Do you understand this? So it means that at the end of the day, his net pay will be this C10, which is this particular 9,005, minus the discount that I will calculate, I will put here, right? That's what I will have here at the end of the day. Do you understand it? Do you understand it?
Yes.
Not
Yeah.
really.
Please,
Yes,
come.
this one. Okay.
Please,
I will come again.
please, can you
I'll
take
come
that
again.
again, sir?
I have not really done what I want to do. I'm just explaining something. So I'm saying that look at James, based on the scenario I've painted, right? That I want to give somebody 10% discount if he buys from me 60,000 and above. I want to give you 10%. And I'm saying that James is buying 95,330. So James qualifies for my 10% rebate, right? For my 10% discount. And James will be getting, I mean, we're going to calculate the actual amount here, but then from our knowledge of mathematics, we can see that James should be getting something around 9,533 naira, right? Now, at the end of the day, this net value will now be that James, I will take the discount, which is 9,005, right? I will take it from the amount. I'll take it from the 95,000 that he intends to pay. And at the end of the day, I will have what he will actually pay in this place. So at the end of the day, by the time I've done the mathematics here, this thing will not remain 95,000 again. I'm just showing you so that you can see the formula, that this place is gotten by formula, and the formula is C10 minus D10. This is C10 here. I'll still subtract what I will have here from it, right? That's what I have here. But then don't bother about this place now, since it's confusing you. We'll get it, right? So how will I get the value of my discount? I mean, the discount that each of these customers will get from me, right? So I'm going to use the if statement, the if function. I'm going to use the if function to say that if this person, if he buys up to 60,000, give him 10% discount. If he did not buy up to 60,000, don't give him 10% discount. That's what I will use the if function to do, right? And how will I achieve it? usually is a function. I'll start with equals to, and the keyword is if, right? If I call it out, you will see the argument. Now, in giving out the argument for if function, the first argument that you see is saying that there is a logical test. What is the logical test? What are you testing for? And the logical test is just the scenario I have painted. It's just the instances that you are creating. That is, you want to see if the value they will purchase, right, is up to 60,000. That's the logical test. The scenario I'm painting will always be the logical test. In this case, the scenario I'm painting is that do they buy up to 60,000? That is my test, right? That is, for this particular column that I am, for this particular row that I am, which is Peter's row, I want to know, did Peter, the purchase, this is the value of purchase, Abi. So the value of purchase of greater than 60,000, right? And this is column for the value of purchase. I'm going to say, if logical test will be this, that is, Peter's purchase, Peter's value of product purchase, right? Test, logical test is it greater than, I'm using the greater than or equals to. Look at how I've written greater than or equals to in Excel. Greater than or equals to. You know, in mathematics, there's a way you write it. You put that equals to under that one of the hand of the greater than, right? But in Excel, this is how we write it. Greater than or equals to, right? So your greater than is at the top of your full stop. You press shift and press full stop. That's how to say your greater than. And the equals to is after number 9, number 0, minus and equals to. That's before backspace. Yes, that's how it is on my own keyboard. And I think it should be like that on your keyboard as well. Right? Now, so I'm testing for the value of purchase of Peter, right? The value of purchase of Peter. I'm testing if it is greater than or equals to 60,000. That is my logical test. Can you see now? So if function, we always have a logical test. And the logical test will be that the scenario that the instance that you are talking about, the scenario is painting, try to depict it mathematically. Try to depict it mathematically. So as the case is now, right, I'm testing for whatever the customer buys from me. I'm trying to know if it is greater than or equal to 60,000. And this is the best way I can represent it mathematically. That's my logical test. And I'll press command to go to the next argument. Now, the next argument is saying value if true. That is, if the value of purchase now, if the value of purchase is actually greater than 60,000, what should happen? Do you understand it now? If it is actually greater than 60,000, what should happen? And I'm saying this is what should happen. If it's actually greater than or equals to, if it's actually greater than or equals to 60,000, give that customer, give him 10%. Look at my screen. 10% of his time.
Value.
10% of that value that he buys, which is this. Can you see the value if true? Do you understand this thing?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes. So if he buys greater up to or more than 60,000, then value if true is that give him 10% of whatever he buys, which is 10% of C9, because this is the cell that talks about what he buys, right? Then, comma, if you go to the next argument and ask me, okay, if he did not buy up to or greater than or equals to 60,000, what will happen? That is value if false, right? And the value if false, I'm saying that give him 0. That is, don't give him anything. And that's the end of the argument, and I'm going to close the argument. If I say enter, you can see that, look at this guy now, Peter. Does he buy up to 60,000? We have answered
No, sir.
So, will he get a discount? No.
No, sir.
Okay. That is why the net amount is going to pay will still remain the 56,750 that is paid, because it's going to be this net amount will be the amount he buys minus the discount I'm giving him. And now that the discount I'm giving him is still 0, so he's not getting anything at the end of the day. He's still paying that amount. But if I drag down Can you see for all of them? Look at this guy now. Does it buy up to 60,000? Yes.
Yes.
Will it get discount? Yes. A discount of 10% discount. Yes. What is the discount? What is the value of that discount? It has calculated it for me by itself and say it is 9,533 naira. Now, what will you now pay at the end of the day? It means it's paying this amount minus this amount, and at the end of the day, it's becoming 85,797, of the currency. We are using naira, for example. Do you understand it now? Look at this other guy, John. He buys 78, so obviously this guy also will get a discount, and the discount is 10%, right? Which is this, and at the end of the day, he'll be paying this amount. Look at Andrew. Andrew did not buy up to 60,000. He only buy for 5,000. So this guy does not qualify for my discount, right? And then he gets this, and at the end of the day, he gets this, right? And look at this. So look at all of this thing again. Do you understand it?
Well understood, sir.
Very well understood. Very well understood.
Very clear.
Very clear.
All right, thank you. I'm happy it's very clear. All right, so we are good to go. Now, I'm going to do something, and then we go to this next one. And this one is kind of, it's kind of, kind of. It's still the same thing. Everything here is the same thing. But look at it. Let's look at the scenario I've painted. Give any customer 10% rebate with value from 60,000 and above. That is, if you buy up to 60,000 and above, give him 10%. But if you buy 40,000 and above, give him 5%. Do you understand it? This second scenario. If you buy 10%, if you buy 60,000 and above, give him 10%. But if you buy 40,000 and above, don't forget that this means that this above will end as maybe 59,000 plus, something lesser than 60,000. Because another statement will start from, another condition will start from 60,000 and above. So if you buy 40,000 and above, give him 5%. Now, lastly, if you now buy less than 40,000, that is when you will not give him anything. You understand? So let's say when I get this scenario at the top, and somebody now say, what of this Andrew now, or this Peter that buy 6,000? He try you, won't we give him discounts? Oh, I don't look at it and say, okay, person way buy 56,000 has also tried. Okay, this is what I will do. If you buy up to, we'll check it. If you buy up to 40,000, because he didn't buy up to 60,000, we won't give him 10% discount. But if he buys up to 40,000, let's try to give him 5% discount. So this guy will qualify for 5%, and this guy will qualify for 5%. But anybody that buy less than 40,000, as the condition is stated here, right, will not get 5%, will not get 10%, in fact, will not get anything. How do we depict that using the if statement? I'm going to show you now. Right. I'm going to show you. All right. I'm going to show you now. So I have equals to, right? If statement, right? If function. I don't know why I've been saying if statement. It's actually if function. If statement is used, in other programming languages. All right. All right. So, what's the logical test? The logical test
is the amount.
The logical test is the condition I've painted. That is, does the value of purchase, right, is it greater than or equals to 60,000, right? Don't forget that there's another condition. So it means that in this particular scenario, there are two tests. But let's see how it works, right? Now, our test for the first one. Does it buy up to 60,000 above, comma? If it is true, what should I do? I will give him 10% of what he buys. 10% of anything he buys, right? 10% of anything he buys. Then, comma, if it is false, what should I do? Now, if it is false, I don't want to jump to now go and give him 0. Because I have created another scenario for anybody that buys less than 60,000. That is between 40,000 and above. You understand? So, in this case, because there is another thing to test for, I am going to activate another if statement. I am going to activate another if statement. So, For the value if first, I'm going to activate another if statement. Can you see now? Another if to call out the argument. This time around, my new logical test will now be this second one to say that I want to test if what he buys, which is this, is greater than or equals to 40,000. Right? I want to test if what he buys is greater than or equals to 40,000. Right? And I'll say, okay, comma, if he actually buys, thank you, give him 5% of what he buys. Can you see? Now, if he did not still buy up to that, if he didn't buy up to 60,000, I've created a condition for him. And now that condition is he didn't still buy up to that. I will just give him 0. You understand? And I'm going to lock it. And I say enter. Right? Now, it's giving me this error because I didn't complete my bracket. Right? This is where I am. So this is value if true. Okay, yes, comma. What is now the value if false? That is 0. Now this time around, I'm going to write the close bracket to cover. You can see that I open bracket 2 times. Can you see? This close bracket here is closing this bracket of the second if. Then I must have another bracket that will close for this particular if. Can you see now? So now if I say enter, it's going to perform it. Now look at this guy now. Peter did not buy up to 60,000, so he can't get 10%. But he buys more than 40,000, so he will get 5% of what he buys. And if you look at the value you have here, it's actually 5% of what? 5% of 56,750 naira.
Sorry, I want to get something very clear.
All right.
I want to get something very clear. That means the argument obeys the first he obeys the first argument before the second argument, because it could have gone for, if it goes above 40, there's a range between 40 and 59.99 before 60,000.
Yes. So yes, it goes for, this one is clear, right? That's 60,000.
Yeah.
Right. For this one, because we have currently created one here, right? This one, even though we say above, greater than or equals to, it has a limit now because there's a condition for from 60,000 above. So this one, the above will just be a little bit less than 60,000, which is going to be 59,999. Do you understand it?
Yeah, I get it.
No, that yes. So,
no, I get it. I understand it.
Hello, sir.
Pastor, sir, yes, sir.
Okay. What of if we start the argument with 40 instead of 60? Will it still get the same answer?
If you start with, let's say, if we say yes, C20 is greater than or equal.
If greater or equal to 40, get 5%. If greater or less than 60, they get 10%.
Yes, let's see, but then let's see now. So give him, I'm changing this so that we can give him 5%, right? And then here is if, then give him 10%. Right. This is what you're talking about, sir. Right? I can execute this. Right? Okay. You can see that it actually still works. And that's it. Right? But there is an issue in that because it didn't align well. It will be confused to know where to halt, where to stop. Robinga, when you ask the question, we already know that because we have created something bigger here, then the smaller one will stop at the end of this. But here, it actually got confused. So it didn't actually work. So if we change the figure here, it's going to confuse the Excel. It's not going to align as it is supposed to be.
This is what it is.
Pastor, do you understand?
So according to the one you just did now, meaning that you have to start with the greater one first before the smaller one.
Yes.
Okay, that's what I want to get out.
All right. If we are going to actually start with this, it means that the issue of greater than or equal to that we are using here, the operation greater than or equal to we are using will change. It's most likely going to be greater, and maybe if it is greater than, less than or equal to, or something like that, it will alter something here for it to work appropriately. Do you understand it? Somebody's not talking to me. This is 40, and I'm changing this back to 5. Right. And this is going to work for all of them. All right. All right. So that is I was going to say something before we begin to answer question. Yes. Now look at in this case now. Now you will say that I have used my if statement 2 times. Can you see? In one command. Can you see? A response, please.
Yes. Yes.
Yes. Thank you. I have used my if statement 2 times in one command. Now listen. This kind of function where we'll use 2 functions. You can see that there are 2 functions there, even though the functions are the same thing, they're both if, but they're actually 2 functions, right? So in a case where you are using 2 functions in one command, right? That function will be called a nested function. That is, a nested function is a scenario where you are using 2 functions in one command, in one statement, right? Now, if the 2 functions are now the same thing, in this case where they are both if and if, I will call it nested if. You understand? It's a nested if because they are both the same thing. But it is not compulsory that it must always be if and if. I can actually use count if here and come and use sum if here. I can also use if statement here and come and use something around and here. It is still a nested function, but because they are not the same thing, I cannot call it by the name of one of them. But in this particular scenario, right, where we have used if and if in just one statement, we call that kind of function, we call it a nested if function, right? Do you understand it? I've mentioned it because I'm going to use it later maybe in the next sheet. But for this particular illustration that I've painted, scenario that I've painted to explain the if function. I hope we understand it. Do we understand?
Excuse me, can we use like a range? Like if, for instance, this between 40,000 and 59,999, can we use like a range that if between so and so?
Yes. We can use like a range. So we just state it the same way we are saying it here. That is, if C20 is, let me write something differently here, equals to if, right, what he buys, right, is if what he buys is so that's going to be, let's give me a scenario. Let's say it is between 40,000 and 60,000, Abi. It is between 40,000 and 60,000. Is that what you mean by the between? Yes, we're just going to say
yes. It is between 40,000 and 60,000.
It is greater than
40,000 and less than 60,000.
Now, this is what you do smartly. You have to bring your understanding of inequality into it, right? We are talking more of mathematics, right? Now it means that x is less than or equals to, x is greater than or equals to 40,000, right? And less than or equals to 60,000. Do you understand that?
Yes.
Yes.
So I'm gonna say if this C20 is greater than or equals to 40,000, right? Sorry. I'm going to say if 40,000 is greater than or equals to that, which is also less than or equals to 60,000.
Okay.
You understand? So these
Yes.
are logical. I'm not saying if this is what will happen.
You give him 5%. You give him 5% discount.
Thank you. I hope you understand it.
Yeah, yeah. Yes.
People that do not like mathematics will not come out and say, me, I don't like mathematics. Me, I don't like mathematics. All right. So generally, the if idea of how if statement work, I hope you understand. Yes, I'm going to share. Somebody used it in the assignment, like I mentioned. So I feel like opening it and I feel like opening that person's assignment and try to look at. Let me see if I can open the person's assignment, and we can use it together, right? To explain. Let me see if I save the person's assignment. It's Profemio, so it's your name. Yeah, let me open the person. Let me open the person's assignment. All right. Can you see my screen? Hello?
No. No.
Okay, let me I'm sharing again. So I think that was question 8. Is it showing now?
Yes.
Yes. Now, you remember there is a question that I said compare the new salary and old salary, right? There's a particular question that I asked that compare the new salary and old salary. Let's see the difference between the new salary and old salary. Do you remember?
Yes,
Do
I
you remember
remember
that
that.
question from?
Yes, I remember that question.
Now, yes. So normally, right, because I have not treated if function, what I've just expected us to do is to just say this minus this. If the answer is, for example, now just say equals to old, maybe old minus new, or new minus old, anyhow. If the answer is nothing like this, so it means that there's no difference between them. Is that not so? That is 0. But if you drag down and you see that there's a point where you drag down and then you see that yes, match. So the person has done something here. Let me cancel this, right? And cancel the match. This, right? So let me drag it. So if you see that at any point the column has value, so it means that there's difference between them. This is what I actually expected it to do. But the person used if function. Can you see? That is, it says that test for use if function and there's a logical test. Test for if F2, which is this one, is equals to H2, which are the two salaries, right? Test for if this is equals to this. He now said the value is true. If they are actually equal, if this test is true, write duplicate, right? If it is not true, if it is not true, write not duplicate, which is actually true, which is actually a correct way to test for the question I was asking. Now that we now test it, we now see that this and this one, they are true. They are actually equal to each other. So we write duplicate. So which means that there is no difference between them. But if I were the person, I would have liked to use the word here to say, if the value is true, just write no difference. No difference, right? And then if the value is this, I will just write there is a difference. If that English is correct, there's a difference, right? And I'll stop it. So this will be correct. And if I drag down, that will actually do what I intend to get. So I'll say that, oh, no difference between here, no difference here, no difference here, no difference here. And if statement would have helped me to answer that question easily. I hope you understand what the person tried to do here. Is reference to you?
Yes, yes, very clear, very clear.
Yes, I'm here. Yes, I'm listening. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. So this is what so using this approach, right, is actually correct. It's actually fine, and it's faster. But I wasn't just expecting because we have not actually gotten it in that side. Correct. So I'll return to the class. Okay. So I'm going to share my screen again. Yeah, this is 21, 22, 9, 22. So we can still pick up how much, right? Please, you can take your time to go through the video when we share it and let me know if there are other questions. And then, I like this thing here. financial function, right? I actually intend to stop after this input too, but then I'm not sure we can cover input too. So let's quickly talk about the financial function. Financial function. Now, this function is mostly used by the people in the finance department, and they are used to calculate return on investment, right? And then something like return on investment, loans. So, for example, now, if a company takes a loan, from a bank, right? Based on the conditions he has taken the loan, that I'm taking this loan at the rate of this amount, right? We can always calculate what the person will be paying every month, right? We can calculate what the person will be paying every month. And if it is a personal loan, right? For many of us that have taken all this GT salary advance before, GT used to offer that salary, they call it salary advance, yes, or payday loans, right? If you take a loan and you are supposed to pay it after 1 year, right? Let's say you take a loan of 200,000 naira and you're supposed to pay some amount of money every month for the 12 months, right? You can actually calculate what you are expected to be paying. And I painted the scenario on the screen. Yes. Let's look at that scenario to explain this, right? I said to illustrate most popular financial functions. So all the parameters that we'll discuss under this financial function, under this scenario, are explaining financial functions. People that study accounting will understand better anyway, but then everybody can understand, right? We only need to understand it if we have similar data. If we are dealing with similar data, we need to analyze similar data, and we are confused on how to get something and something, right? So we know what to do. So people who study accounting and will be applying the understanding of data analysis to their finances and will later become financial analysts will need this more, right? So let's see now. To illustrate Excel most popular financial function, we consider a loan with monthly payments, an annual interest of 6%. So somebody has taken a loan, right? Somebody has taken a monthly loan, with an annual rate of 6% for a duration of 1 year. Now, take it back to this topic we did in our elementary mathematics, simple interest, right? And you recall that the formula for calculating interest is principal times rate times time all over 10. I hope we still remember with that do mathematics. Now, principal is the actual amount you borrow. For example, there's a scenario, there's a scenario of somebody who has taken a loan of 50 million naira, right? You can see 50 million naira here. He borrowed a loan of 50 million naira. That 50 million naira is the principal based on the formula we were told in secondary school, right? The principal is 50 million naira. That's the amount you have borrowed. Now, while taking that loan, you would have agreed that this loan is at the rate of 6% to this loan is at the rate of 15% to this loan is at the rate of 10% to, and you have agreed, right? So that interest rate is what we mean by rates. Are you there? That principal, which is the actual amount that you borrow, is called the present value. Can you see present value here? That is now the value of that loan, now, at the present time, the value of that loan is 50 million. Don't forget that at the end of the day, by the time you end up paying that loan, the value of that loan cannot be 50 million again because you would have paid interest to it and the value would have increased. But at the moment now, the value of that loan is 50 million naira, right? And that's what we mean by PV, present value, the present value now. So if you see PV anywhere, PV means present value. And it is the same thing as what the elementary mathematics called principal. Are we together? Yes. Now, principal times rate. So rate is the percentage, the interest rate on on that loan. And we have time, right? Time is the duration you have agreed to repay the loan, right? You have agreed the time, okay, let's say it is, you want to pay it for 12 months, which is 1 year. So the period is 12 months, right? You can now, from your own instinct, translate it to weeks or interpret it to months or interpret it to year. Just know that it is 1 year, the duration is 1 year. And that 1 year is same thing as saying 12 months. It's same thing as saying 52 weeks. You understand? So how you want to interpret it, right? Now, on that scenario, somebody has taken 50 million naira. He has taken a loan of 50 million naira on an interest rate of 6%, right? And the duration is 1 year. We now want to calculate what will be the person's payments. What will the person be paying every month? Right? You may want to disturb yourself doing the mathematics, right? But then there's an Excel function that will help you get the mathematics. So we have this payments, which is what you'll be paying every month. That's what we call PMT, right? PMT. And to calculate the payment, we're going to use the PMT function. That is, what is the payment, right? So in this case, what is the payment of this person that borrows 50 million naira, right? On the interest rate of 6% and duration of 1 year. So we want to calculate what will he be paying every month. So we're going to use the payment function, and it's a function we're going to say equals to PMT. That's the payment, and we'll call out the argument. And it's asking us what is the rate at which we are giving the loan out. What's the rate, right? And you can see that from the scenario I painted, we are using 6% rate. The interest rate on that loan is 6%, right? Now it means the interest is 6%. Can you see? But you will note something, that 6% is an annual. You can see the question, the scenario says annual interest rate of 6%, which means that because we are now paying, we want to be paying monthly, we have to divide that annual interest into months, right? So if you are dividing 1 year to 12 months, it's going to be 12. So I'm going to divide that interest rate by 12, right? Which actually is going to translate into 0.5%. So it means that every month the interest on that loan is 0.5%. But if you sum it together for the whole of the year, it will make the annual interest rate of 6%, right? So this is how to get my rates. If I go to the next argument is asking me, what is my NPER? That is number of period. You understand? Number of period. So the period is 1 year, but we are translating it into months. So NPER is 12. That is 12 months, right? NPER is 12 months, right? Then, comma, is that asking us, the next argument is PV, that is present value. How much did we actually borrow now? What is the value of the loan now? The value of the loan is what we have borrowed, yeah, which is 50 million. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Are we together now? Now, another thing that we need to quickly understand is that 50 million, is it coming to our hands or is it going out? Somebody should kindly respond to that question. That 50 million that you are taking from the bank, when that loan is approved, will the money be coming to your hand or the money will be going out of your hand?
Sorry, is it, do you mean?
Are we referring to bank or the borrower?
I'm referring to me, who is borrowing the money.
It's coming to my hand.
Coming to my hand.
My hand. Yes. So that is why I have asked that question intentionally, because this scenario can also be used for investment. Like if you want to apply to investment, you will say that somebody is introduced, an investment is introduced to somebody to say like, okay, a mortgage of a house, right? If you pay pay 50 million, mortgage a property, right? At the rate of, take this a property for rent, right? At the rate of 50 million naira, right? I'm using, I've been using loan to explain it, but I'm using investment to explain it now. Now, take this property for the rate of, for 50 million naira, right? Now, if I have a house, I build a house, and now take it out for 50 million naira. It means that at the end of the day, I'm not getting the 50 million naira, but the person who buys it from me, right, will be paying me some amount for 12 months if I'm giving it out at the rate of 6% for the 12 months, right? All right. Maybe somebody is not understanding. Let me not complicate this. Let's just continue with this loan illustration. We'll come back to the investment later, right? So this amount, the PV, which is present value, is 50 million naira. Now, if I say comma, it will go to the next argument. But look at something. If you remember when we started function, I said that any argument that has this kind of bracket, we call it maybe like a brace bracket like this. It is not compulsory. I may decide not to respond to that, right? So in this case, I don't want to respond to this FV, right? The actual meaning of LV is future value, and I'm going to tell you what it means as I explained now. But for now, let's leave LV, and I'm stopping my argument here. If I say enter, can you see now? It means that at the end of every month, this person who has taken a loan of 50 million naira will be paying 4.3 million naira every month, right? And he will pay this amount for 12 months. So we have used Excel to calculate what the payment of a borrower has been. And one of the things you will notice this figure is that it has a negative value, right? The meaning of this negative value is not to affect the figure. The amount is paying actually 4.3 million and 49. That's the amount he's paying. But the minus is there that he's paying the money out. The money is leaving hand. Don't forget, when he took the loan got to his hand. That is why in this place, the present value is a positive number. That is, he gains money. But when he's paying back now, he will be losing money out. So that is why the payment is a minus. It carries minus. It carries the negative sign. And with the same understanding, right? If I want to calculate the rates, right? It means that I have all these scenarios, but the rate is not given to me. And what that also means is that I will know the payment. It is just the rate that will be unknown, right? If you understand how mathematics works, right? So there will always be at least one unknown. So if you're going to have the one unknown, other criteria must be known. So to calculate rate, it is still the same way. I'm going to use the rate function, right? And the rate function, if I call out the argument, these are the arguments that I'm going to have. You can see that I have number of periods, I have payment, which I calculated here. I must have it to calculate rate. I have present value, but it is a rate that I don't have. So I can use the rate function to calculate the rate. If I also need to calculate the number of periods, right? If I also need to calculate the number of periods, I'm just going to use the number of period NPER function equals to NPER, and of course you can see the parameters, the argument that I have, right? Now, the future value that you have here, what does it actually mean, right? The future value is saying that after I have paid, look at the person now, it took 50 million naira at the rate of 6% annual interest, which we have divided into monthly, right? And it's supposed to pay for 12 months. And it's now paying some amount at the end of every month for 12 months. Now, you can now decide as a borrower that, please, the amount I want to have at the end of the day, after the 12 months, I don't want to pay off. I still want to have, after the 12 months, I still want to be owing maybe like 10,000 naira. Do you understand it? So it means that in the future, after I have serviced that loan for for 12 months, I still want to have something like a 10 million naira that I don't want to pay. So that 10 million naira is the future value. That is in the future, after you have paid your loan for 12 months, what do you want to have left? But in many cases of loan, in the future, you have nothing left. That is why usually the future value is 0. So if the future value is not filled like this, like I didn't fill anything there initially, it means that I'm saying that the future value is 0. At the end of the day, I don't want to have anything. I want to clear my loan. But if you are somebody that you still want to have something left there, and you can say that after that 12 months, I want to have a future value of 10,000 naira. And for this one now, in the case where the future value is 10,000 naira, at the end of the day, you see that what I will be paying will not be 43,000 again. You can see that, all right? What I'm paying now is 4 million. Initially, it was 4,303,000 naira. But now, what I'm paying now is now 4,304,000 naira. So if you do this, at the end of the day, you will still have a deficit of 10,000 at the end of the day, that you have not paid after your loan period. But usually, for a loan case, the FV is always equal to 0, right? This will return it to 303. Or you don't even put anything at all. If you take the 0, all of them out, pata is still as good as you are saying that future value is equal to 0, right? So this is how the financial function works, right? It's just used to calculate, when you take loan, you use it to calculate what your repayment will be. And if you make an investment, right, you are somebody who invests into a stock, and the stock has been sold to you at the rate of, at a particular rate, and you put in a present value, you drop maybe like 10 million naira in that stock, right? You can use this financial function to calculate what you'll be getting on that stock at the end of the month, right? So what will be returned into your account on that particular investment at the end of the month, so that you know that, oh, I have this amount coming to me. Right. Now I'm going to move to this other side and see some other things, that are still regarding that financial function. Now look at it now. On that same scenario, somebody has taken a loan, right, for 12 months, for 1 year. This is all the months here. I have spread the months here. Let's say it is a January to December loan. So 1 represents January, 2 represents February, March, April, May, June, July, until you get to December, right? Now, we now want to calculate what the person will pay in January, what the person will pay in February, what the person will pay in May, and all of that, right? We'll use that same function to say equals to what is the payment. That's what we are looking for. PNT, that's payment. I color the argument. And what is the rate? We have taken the rate, we have taken the loan at the rate of 6%, right? 6% spread to 12 months, right? Comma. What is the duration for that loan, right? What is the duration for that loan? That is 12. It's expected to pay for 12 months, right? And comma, what is the present value, which is 50 million naira? 3, 4, 5, 6, right? And I can see that the payment is 4,303,000, which is the same thing as what I have here, right? So it's going to pay this amount in January. Now, in this same amount that is paying, right, you will notice that there are 2 things in that amount, because that amount, that 4.3 million naira that he's paying, is expected to take care of the actual principal. You understand? The actual principal payment and the interest that they will put on it. So if I need to calculate that out of this 4.3 million naira, what is how much of this money is actually servicing the loan? Then how much of this money is the interest that they are gaining on it? Then I will now use any of these functions here, right? As it is now, PPNT actually means principal on the payment. IPMT means interest on payment. So if I want to know the actual principal, the actual repayment on that loan, I will use the PPNT function, which is PPNT, the principal on payment. And it will now ask me, look at how the argument is now, arranged. It's asking me what is the interest on that loan, which is 6%. 6%, which of course I'm going to spread across 12 months. What is the PER? You will notice that what we've been having before is NPER. That's what I wrote here. NPER, which is number of period, right? It is our NPER that is 12. But PER is talking about now. For example, now I'm calculating for January, which is 1. So my PER is for this particular month. What is the principal on my loan? So my PER is 1 because that's my first repayment, which is January. So on my first repayment, my PER is 1. But my NPER is what is the duration of that repayment? How long will it take me to repay? Which is 12. You understand it? So now what is my principal value? What's my present value? That is 50 million naira, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? And I'm going to close it, right? So it means that on this loan, I'm actually paying, on the loan 50 million that I collected, I'm actually paying 4,053,000 as my principal repayment, as my present repayment. So the rest of it is my interest. It's an interest that they have added to it, and that's why the total repayment is 4,303,000 naira. And I can also use this to calculate the interest on that payment. So I'm going to use the IPMT, right? So IPMT is going to say, so the rate is still 6%, 6%, which I'm going to spread across 12 months. Of course, that's for the first month, right? Comma, NPER is, of course, 12, and PV is 50 million and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? So this means that on that loan, right? On that loan, on this repayment that I'm paying for the first month, the actual repayment is 4,053,000. The interest that the bank or the borrower, the lender, right? The giver of that money, right? The giver of that money, the interest that they are getting on it for that first month is 250,000 naira. So at the end of the day, if I sum this PPNT and the IPMT, if I add them together to say this plus this, where's my plus this, it should give me this amount. You can see that they are both correct. So that's the justification that this and this is equal to this PPNT. I hope you understand. And for the other month, of course, if I drag down for every other one, I'm going to get, so it means that on the other second month, on the February, for example, I'm still going to pay the same amount. But on that same amount, my actual repayment is this amount, but the interest that they are getting on that second payment is actually lesser. It's 229,000. And my total repayment is, okay, this should be this, right? If you sum all of this together, something is actually wrong here. You should be having the same thing. So let me see. This should be K9 plus L9, right? K9 plus L9. Okay, sorry, I'm just checking something. All right, this is rate. This is my rate. This is my PER, that is period. The actual period, that's 1. And I8, yes. And this is my NPER, which is the duration of the loan, and that is 12. And my principal is 50. Okay, this is correct. So if I come to this place, what happens? This will be I9, which is the second month. Yes, that's correct. All right. So at the end of the day, I should have this to be equal to this. This is correct. This is also correct. So why is this justification not justified? All right. So I'll check on this. But we can see now that this is my present payment on that loan. And if I want to calculate the interest on the loan per the time I am paying it. So this is the exact interest this is the exact interest on the first month. This is the exact interest on the second month. This is the interest on the third month and down like that. So the financial function is actually useful to monitor loan or to monitor investment as the case may be. Right. Do you have questions? Any question? Anybody has a question?
Yes, I think the reason why that justification is not the same thing as that PMP is because the interest rate on the payment is reducing as the month is coming down.
Yes, so that's the reason actually. But then we need to see the reason why is decreasing, because we are supposed to have at the end of the day it should justify.
Then the principal, they are all the same. It's constant with what I can see. The principal is the same. Then the payment too is the same. So there's no way the justification will be the same as PMT when you do a PPMT and IPMT.
Yeah. So let's just take this.
That's what I was
all right. Anybody want to say something again in that regard? So any question, if somebody's saying anything to that particular, any other question?
We can also add that PPMT and IPMT to get, maybe it's going to be the same, it's going to give us the same answer as the first result that we get.
As in, you want us to do this plus this?
Yes, to get, maybe it's going to,
Yeah, that's how we did initially. Let's do it for the other one.
Son.
Let's do it for this, this plus this, and we get this.
It cannot be the same answer.
Right, so it cannot be the same answer. Yes.
Even if we do that, I just feel like by the time we add the justification together, it should give us the total of PMT.
So, yeah, but then let's just take it off it so that it doesn't confuse us, right? But I will check it behind the scene, right, to see what is happening, and I can speak about it in this class. All right. Any other question on the financial function, on if function? I know we dwell more on some if function and if function, and also cell reference. All right. So any question in these 4 areas, 4 cells that we treated today? We actually treat 4 sheets today: cell referencing, some if, and count if function, and financial function. We are getting to the end of Excel, and we can pick other things, right? But then we still have important things to do with Excel. We still need to go into all these things we are doing. They are to help us understand how to clean data. So funny, right? The actual data analysis is on this area, on pivot table. This is exactly what we are coming to. But we need to understand those things before getting to this place, right? So this is the pivot table, is where what we use to analyze data with Excel, actually, right? And we're almost there, right? At least we are here now. And this is really called this, and after this is pivot table. So we are getting closer. We should get to pivot table after our Thursday class. Any other question from me? So that we can pass 10 already, so that we can end the class.
Please, can you go back to that IPMT?
Yes, I'm here now. Just to talk about it again, right? So I'm saying that IPMT is used to calculate the interest on a loan. So IPMT means interest on payments. So use IPMT to calculate the interest that is on the particular payment of the loan. But it works on when after you have broken the loan. Let's say you take a loan for 1 year and you are paying every month. So use IPMT to calculate the interest on the loan for each of the months. Then use PPMT to know what the actual payment is. So if they tell you that if you take 200,000 from the bank and they tell you that you'll be paying, they tell you that you'll be paying, you take 200,000 and they tell you you'll be paying 20,000 every month. just know that that 20,000 is not what you actually borrow, because 20 times 12 is 240, and you took 400,000. So it means that there are some things that I have added to it to make it 240, because you should actually pay 200. So on the loan, your actual amount, right? To know the actual amount on that 20,000 you are paying every month, you use PPNT. To know the interest on that interest you are paying every month, you use IPNT, which is interest on the payment. Do you understand it now?
Yes, I do.
All right, thank you very much. All right. So if there are no further questions, we'll end the class so we can meet together on Thursday. However, I'm going to drop an assignment maybe after I share this video. I'm going to drop another task that will keep us busy up to Thursday. Please, it's expected that the assignment is submitted on Thursday, before Thursday morning, right? Our class will be 8 p.m. Please kindly ensure that the assignment is submitted before 12 p.m. on Thursday, so that I can also have time to look at it. And then, you know, as it was in the last class, in the last assignment, if you are done tomorrow, please submit, so that I can also look at those ones and give my remarks. If you are done on Tuesday, please submit, right? But then at the latest, 12 p.m., 12 noon on Thursday. All right. Thank you very much. So in the absence of any question, we can end the class for today at this point. All right. Good night, everyone.
Good night, sir.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Good night, Professor.
Thank you for your time, sir.
Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you, sir.